We all know the feeling. That sudden chill, the hairs on your neck standing on end, a shiver down your spine. It's a physical reaction, a primal response to something extraordinary. And sometimes, just sometimes, cinema has the power to trigger it.
There's nothing more powerful than to share an emotion together in a theater. I think that as humans, we need that kind of connection.
There's nothing like being fully immersed in a film.
I love it when it becomes an immersive experience. I love getting lost in it.
And when you're in that world, you're fully there. But when it's time to come back to reality, there are moments that stay with you. Not just because of what you saw, but because of how they made you feel. So let's take a look at some of those moments. 3 incredible scenes from 3 incredible films with the power to give you goosebumps.
And here we go.
Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight, a cornerstone of 21st century cinema, remains the definitive superhero film. Its legacy within popular culture unparalleled despite numerous attempts to replicate its impact.
Audiences could walk out of a movie based on a comic book, based on a superhero, and instead of saying, that was a great superhero movie, that was a great comic book movie, at last what they could say, that was a great film.
The Dark Knight transformed the genre by subverting its conventions, blending the grit of a noir crime thriller with a deep exploration of its central idea, order versus chaos. At its heart is Heath Ledger's iconic portrayal of the Joker, a chaotic force of nature and one of cinema's most unforgettable villains.
Myself. And you know what? She can't stand the sight of me.
With The Dark Knight, you're spoilt for choice when it comes to iconic moments and timeless scenes. Yet for me, when it comes to that goosebumps factor, the spine tingle, one scene stands out: the final sequence. The Joker's corruption of Gotham's White Knight Harvey Dent forces Batman to break his most sacred rule to stop the villain that Dent has become, Two-Face.
Because you were the best of us. He wanted to prove that even someone as good as you could fall.
Facing Dent's tragic fall, Batman sacrifices his own heroic identity, choosing to take the blame for Dent's crimes to preserve Gotham's hope and fragile chance at redemption.
You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Now, why does this scene stand out among so many iconic moments? I think the answer is simple. The Dark Knight transcends the superhero genre. It's a film of ideas.
The Joker for me and The Dark Knight is all about a fear of anarchy, fear of the rules breaking down and what that would do to society.
It delves into profoundly human concepts that are complex, socially relevant, and thoughtfully developed, and its ending serves as a poetic and epic culmination of these ideas. What we get in the climactic final sequence is a distillation of the film's essential dualities: order versus chaos, sacrifice versus self-interest, and the paradox of Batman himself. Batman is a vigilante who operates outside the law for justice, yet his actions have a consequence. The Joker, a force of pure anarchy intent on exposing society's hypocrisy.
They're schemers. Schemers trying to control their little worlds.
Order is a facade masking humanity's raw, animalistic nature, and he tries to prove that even Gotham's civilized people, when stripped of security, will turn on each other.
I'll show you. When the chips are down, these civilized people, they'll eat each other.
The fall of Harvey Dent, from Gotham's White Knight to the vengeful Two-Face, directly fulfills the Joker's prophecy, proving that even Gotham's best can be corrupted. When Batman assumes responsibility for Dent's crimes in the closing moments, he sacrifices his own heroic image to preserve Gotham's belief in a fragile order. The final chase marks a symbolic descent. Gotham's hero becomes its most hated criminal. By bearing Dent's sins, Batman fully embraces the role of the Dark Knight, a shadowed guardian cast out by the very city he protects. This tragic irony echoes the Joker's taunt.
They need you right now. When they don't, they'll cast you out.
Batman becomes an outcast to uphold the hope that Dent once symbolised, a false elevation destined to collapse. With sprawling IMAX cinematography, Hans Zimmer's masterful score, and Gary Oldman's stirring epilogue, The Dark Knight's conclusion is a cinematic experience that is as visually and audibly powerful as it is committed to its complex ideas.
He's a silent guardian, a watchful protector, a dark knight.
Few films have impacted and haunted me like Ari Aster's 2018 horror debut, Hereditary, one of A24's first major successes in the genre and a milestone for a studio now dominating Hollywood's independent cinema scene. This film deeply unsettled me. Its blend of psychological horror with a raw and realistic portrayal of family trauma creates a viewing experience which is intensely uncomfortable but mesmerising. I can't watch but I can't stop looking type of feeling. Hereditary gradually builds its horror in a way which is meticulous and layered, weaving supernatural terror, pure shock, and psychological dread into this backdrop of a grieving dysfunctional family.
The structure of the story isn't horror. The structure is based on a reality, and it's extremely cleverly written.
Aster's screenplay is the fantastic foundation for this film, but it's brought to life by its outstanding performances. Toni Collette is haunting as Annie, a mother unravelling under the weight of her family's dark legacy, and Alex Wolff, as her son Peter, threw himself fully into his role.
And on the last day of shooting, he introduced himself to the whole crew as Alex for the first time. It was like a dangerous level of commitment.
I read the script, so I knew that it was requiring a lot. I just didn't understand what it would do to your psyche or whatever.
Now, if I'm being honest, I might have had goosebumps for 80% of this film, maybe more. But there was one scene that really crawled under my skin. Not a supernatural horror, but a human one. The infamous dinner scene.
But what I really think is powerful in the film is really the family dynamic. And what this kind of a metaphor is. This dinner sequence is remarkable.
It's the crescendo of grief, pain and resentment, where the underlying tensions between family members reaches a disturbing climax. The power of this scene is in its simplicity. Cruel and cutting dialogue delivered to perfection. There's no accompanying score to set the tone or build an atmosphere, but before the first word is spoken, the tension is palpable. The first few lines exchanged between Annie and Peter already have that edge to them, characteristic of the unnerving calm before the eventual storm.
Just seems like there might be something you want to say.
Yeah.
Like what? I mean, why would I want to say something so I could watch you sneer at me?
The inevitable explosion of pain and resentment from Annie results in a horrific and unforgivable one-way exchange from mother to son, which Toni Collette delivers piercingly.
Do you understand? And I know you miss her, and I know it was an accident, and I know you're in pain, and I wish I could take that away for you. I wish I could shield you from the knowledge that you did what you did, but your sister is dead. She's gone forever.
But what I think got me the most in this scene was the expressive acting. The lingering shots of Peter's face when his mother is screaming at him are truly haunting. A face of numbing shock and unbearable hurt. Annie's scowl after being accused of avoiding responsibility for her own actions is so agonising and hateful, and the restrained camera work gives us no respite from the family's trauma. What makes Hereditary so chilling is its grounded horror, its blend of real nuanced grief with the supernatural. In the dinner scene, the horror doesn't come from a demonic presence, but from watching a family unravel under the weight of their collective pain. is the kind of horror that's deeply uncomfortable, haunting because it's real.
It was always just very important to me that these were people that you cared about, so that when things happen to them, it's not just spectacle, but it feels like a betrayal.
The scene that crawls up your spine and into your head, staying there despite your attempts to forget it. Not many films pull me back to the cinema twice, but with Dune II, Denis Villeneuve's masterful adaptation of Frank Herbert's series, I'd have happily gone a third time. It was one of the most epic cinematic experiences I've ever had. Villeneuve, Hollywood's new prodigal son of sci-fi, brings a deep reverence for Herbert's universe, shaping his two-part vision into a cinematic odyssey of spectacle and narrative depth. His Dune films offer true immersion, visually and audibly breathtaking, yet rooted in this story of prophecy and power. Recognised as one of Hollywood's top visual storytellers, with the Dune saga, Villeneuve has solidified his place as one of the most visionary directors of his generation. So, can you guess what scene gave me goosebumps? To go a layer deeper, can you guess what moment? Paul Atreides' first ride on a sandworm. Now hold up, let's rewind for a second and talk about how we got here.
I knew it would be a central scene, probably one of the most important scenes of the movie, and I knew that if this scene was a success, I would have a movie.
This scene marks the final step in Paul Atreides' initiation into the Fremen tribe, and Villeneuve emphasises its significance by dramatically slowing the film's pace. A bold choice given the density of Dune's story. This tempo grounds us in the weight of the moment, as the thumper's rhythmic pulse builds anticipation. Sweeping desert shots alternate between Paul's focused still gaze and the Fremen's tense shifting views, using deliberate cinematography to mirror each character's perspective and immerse us in their world. Finally, we glimpse the sandworm's arrival, an immense silhouette beneath waves of sand, inching closer as Paul tracks its approach. The meticulous construction of this scene fully immerses us in Paul's experience, letting us live each moment with him. And the experience is powerful because it feels authentic. Denis and his team understood that grounding the scene in a tangible reality was crucial to its impact. Achieving this required careful planning, serious commitment, and a bold creative vision. From using strictly natural lighting, to crafting a collapsible artificial dune supported by cylinders and trucks, to engineering a massive gimbal-mounted platform with worm skin for realistic movement, no detail or expense was spared in capturing as much of this sequence as possible on camera.
One of the great things about Paul, who's our VFX supervisor, he's a firm believer in creating as much in camera as possible so that when he creates his magic, that it blends in really well.
But for me, the thing in this scene that really pulls you in is the sound design. Paul's controlled breathing. The thumpers echo like a heartbeat in the desert silence. The ominous rumble of the sandworm. The priming of the maker hooks. Building to a powerful crescendo as the sandworm collides with the dune, throwing Paul and us into the literal belly of the beast. This layered soundscape captures the power of this mythic force and the chaos of the moment perfectly. Yet something's missing, deliberately. The score. During the first hour, I was waiting for something particular, thinking, when are they going to do the thing? The Dune thing. It was worth the wait. Withholding the score here is brilliant, letting the sound design shape the moment, with the music amplifying its impact when it finally arrives.
That I wanted that to be conveyed in the music, that feeling that something very special is happening, something almost sacred from the Fremen perspective.
The result is just as Villeneuve intended. For many Fremen, Paul's taming of the Shai Hulud all but confirms his identity as the prophesied Lisan el Gaib, to one that will lead them to paradise. We see their excitement in Paul's success shift to reverence, viewing him now as their Mahdi. But Chani's uneasy expression hints at the danger of placing such trust in a single messianic figure, foreshadowing the complex fate awaiting Paul. The most epic cinematic sequence I've ever experienced. Pure cinema. From a new type of superhero film, one that's faithful to its complex ideas, to a grounded type of horror, based in the trauma of a grieving family. Then finally, the pinnacle of the cinematic action set piece, a director's vision near perfectly realised. 3 different types of cinematic experience, all with the same result. Immersion in another world, so powerful that you can feel it.
Really? Can you feel the tension in the air right now? I know I can. I can feel it all the way down in my plums.